Tide Talk with Webb is back. What's going on? We got second scrimmage notes and stuff going on, and quarterback battles and injuries and all kinds of stuff. We saw that Ryan Williams is out, probably for the spring. They say it's not a serious injury, but it must be decent if he's not playing the rest of the spring. But you're seeing guys like Jeremy Bernard, Lotzier Brooks, and obviously Isaiah Horton has a big connection with Ty Simpson. You know, we saw in the last video where he said that was part of the reason why he came to Bama. The last scrimmage, he had about 3 touchdowns from reports that we got, so that was big. Some other very noticeable injuries that's kind of concerning is all of our tight ends are hurt except for Jay Lindsey. He's the only tight end that is not hurt that's going to participate, so that's very concerning. Also, the linebacker, Lawson and Jefferson. Now, Lawson's always hurt. He gets hurt every single year, and it's one of those things where we're kind of like, okay, we're going to give him for 5 or 6 games, and then he's going to be hurt and limping injuries, and it sucks for him, and I hate it for him as a player and as a person, but it is what it is. And Jefferson's hurt too, but the cool thing we're getting out of that is Caden Jones and Abdul Sanders, they say, are flying around. They're getting the system, and they're just popping people. So that's going to be good going into the year for depth. And depending on the seriousness of injury with Lawson's and Jefferson, they may see significant playing time. And these extra reps in the spring and going into summer workouts are going to be huge going into the fall for developed depth. We know the portal doesn't allow, the way it used to, players that were maybe not going to start as a freshman to work their way up and really gain experience and knowledge in the system and become a great fill-in player, a great second stringer. Kids don't do that now. The way the system is built with the portal, it's just not that way anymore. And so this could be a great blessing going into the season. Defensive back, we're pretty good there. We got a lot of depth, so I feel pretty good about that. As far as what we know, the news and notes, Ty Simpson is still the leader. He's getting all the 1s and 2s reps. Austin Mack is also getting a lot of those reps. He's getting every opportunity, I think, because the old coaching staff and Ryan Grubbs liked Austin Mack. He was their guy. He's been in the system for like 2 years. So he's getting every ample opportunity to compete with Ty Simpson. From what we're seeing, Ty Simpson kind of has it right now. Barring a meltdown, barring an injury or anything like that, that's still what we're seeing in the news and notes and kind of what we're gathering from, Bama Online and, all these different websites. And from the open scrimmages, that's kind of what we're getting. And that Austin Mack is getting every opportunity as well. So they're kind of 1s and 2s. Right behind them, and not even in a distant third, is Keelan Russell. And he's doing great things too. And he's tossing some TDs and everything. But it's still going to be a learning experience because we're going to have a new guy. I know Ty Simpson's been there a minute, but he doesn't have game reps yet. And I imagine that Ty Simpson will be the starter going into the Florida State game. Still very concerning, for just the fact you've got, Gus Malzahn. He likes to throw the kitchen bag at him. They're having closed practices. Everything's closed up. Some of that is the portal. You don't want to show what you got at the second stringers and getting them pulled from other schools that have money, big money, as your Texases and your Texas A&Ms and Michigans and whatever, USCs. But that's concerning that we're not seeing what they have. They've got a quarterback we've never seen. But then again, we have all those same things as well. Kane Womack, this is going to be a very big test for him coming out of the gate. Now, he does have seasoned defensive backs that can take some pressure, but he's also going to have to get pressure from that defensive line. And some of those linebackers, we're going to have that pressure because if not, we could be in trouble. They're going to do a lot of eye fakes, a lot of crazy stuff we've never seen, plays that we may never see all year just for us. It's going to be a test of will, and a lot of it's going to be one of that defensive line. Can we get pressure? Not only that, they're going to be doing the same thing to us because we're going to have a new quarterback. Now, Florida State will have a new quarterback too, but it's going to come down, I think, like I said, that game is definitely who's more healthy and who has a quarterback who can handle the heat. That's going to be a big thing, and I think I do feel more confident not having Sheridan as the OC going into this game, having Ryan Grubbs, I feel better. And hopefully it pans out and does well for us. We've got a lot of receivers that Florida State has not seen. More than 2/3 of our receiving core left in the portal last year. So all those guys are gone. What they saw on film is gone. A lot of these new guys, they have not seen. Yeah, they've seen Ryan Williams. They've seen Jeremy Bernard, whatever. They've seen those guys. But they have not seen Isaiah Horton. They have not seen Rico Scott. They have not seen Lassier Brooks. All those guys they haven't seen. Josh Cuevas, God willing, he is healthy for that game. And like I said, and hopefully, after the spring, we can still keep most of this roster intact because the portal's coming up for everybody. We may lose a few guys. I anticipate we may lose 1 to 3 running backs in this coming portal. I could be wrong. Hopefully I am. But that's a very real possibility for Bama is losing some depth at running back. We've got like 6 scholarship running backs. And so we may lose a little depth in that area, and that's fine because we may pick up some depth. With that being said, that the tight end issue, everybody being hurt except for Jay Lindsey, don't be shocked if Bama goes out there and grabs a tight end or two. Even if they're not these marquee tight ends or whatever, from a big program or whatever, we may still have to get some just for injury depth. I mean, because right now you're looking around like, hey, who's played tight end? Anybody played tight end? I mean, you're at that point. We saw Nick Saban do it once or twice when we got a little low. He took reserve linemen that had good hands and said, okay, we'll make you a tight end. That's happened before in Nick Saban era. DeBoer's very smart, so he may look at the situation and be like, yeah, we may have to do that. That's something progressing forward, how these injuries go. And as we get into late summer and as we get into going into that first game, you may see, something they may already be talking about as a coaching staff for the portal. Everybody's looking at things. Everybody's gauging what they've got and what they have and who may or may not leave. So that's a big, big thing. So that, with, the advent of losing a running back and maybe, gaining a tight end or whatever, it could come down to, hey, you got 6, 7 scholarship quarterbacks. Who wants to play tight end? Who's big and can play tight end? That's something as well. They have a blocking scheme and all that. Maybe not as tight, as the height wise of what you really like on that tight end side of the ball, but they could fill in if they have to. We mix and match and whatever. So that's something to be looking at. As this goes forward, like I said, I think Ty Simpson's got it as quarterback. I think some of these other receivers, because Ryan Williams being out, are going to have some time to shine. I really want to see Rico Scott shine. Jalen Hale, him coming back from the knee injury, good time to shine. But that's kind of where we're at. Going into this scrimmage is going to be more exciting. I'll have more news and notes after the scrimmage. And hopefully we just keep progressing forward and doing great things. Anyway, Tide Talk Web is out.